Hello, good morning. I hope you all had a fun weekend over celebrating 4th of July. I didn't do anything. I actually traveled. I was on an airplane and it was surprisingly full, people coming back. I thought maybe today, Monday, would be a little bit busier, but I was on my way back from out of town. I went to see some of my grandkids, which was super fun. So I hope you all had a great weekend. Pardon my scratchy voice. I'm actually coming down with a little something. So I've been down in the andrographis like crazy and lots of conjuplex and all the things that I love to do, a little myrrh, a little pneumotrophin to make sure my lungs are good. So I'm taking good care of myself today. I'm going to take some downtime. I'm going to the chiropractor, which is always my, first stop, either chiropractor or acupuncture, one of the two, or my first stop if I start kind of not feeling good. But today I want to talk to you about how I get so much stuff done. I have a friend who calls it shiz, and I kind of like that term. So I get asked this all the time. Like, you just get so much done and you just seem to do it so effortlessly. Like, how do you get all this done all the time? And I'm going to give you my secret today, and I'm going to drop a link. I actually found it this morning to a PDF that is the PDF of the book that I was going to recommend, but I'll drop the link. I'll post it here at least on Facebook. I'll put it in the comments. If you want to get it, I'll give you the name of the book in a little bit. But here's kind of what happened. So I am by nature an entrepreneur. I love business. I love growing business. I love helping and serving people, which is why I'm a clinical entrepreneur. But I love all things having to do with business. I am not the kind of person that sits around and does nothing. And, I'm not a Netflix binger. I just don't do that. Like, if I'm going to go get a pedicure, I'm going to take a book or I'm going to listen to an ebook. I can't go on a walk and just walk. I do sometimes, but I'm always thinking, how can I be more productive? What can I do that's going to fuel my growth as a person or as a business owner or clinician? What can I learn? So I take advantage of every moment that I can within reason. I don't listen to that stuff when I'm sleeping. But anyway, my point is that what I try and do is I really try and accelerate my growth. But what happens when you are one of those creative kind of people and you always have ideas rolling around in your head? What happens is those ideas often can get a little bottlenecked. And then I come up with all these great ideas, and my team will tell you this, that I'll say, hey, let's do this. I think this is a great idea. And then we'll charge ahead with no plan. And they get so frustrated with me because I am just the visionary. That's my role. But what I have to do is, I'm so much better now, but I have to scale that back so that I can really focus on the things that are going to drive the needle forward for me, not only with my clinical skills, but also in building a business. And so there is one book that I watched or read. I now have it as an audiobook. But I read this book years ago, and the book is called Eat That Frog. I think it's 21 Ways to Stop Procrastinating or something like that. And so whenever I will sometimes say to people like my coaching clients, the practitioners that I coach, I'll say, what frog are you going to eat today? And they never quite know what that means at first. I'm like, okay, what's the big thing that you're going to tackle today? What frog are you going to eat today? And every day you got to eat a frog. What is your frog? So first, to figure out what your frog is, you have to make a list. So my 3 key strategies, this is kind of how I run my eat the frog list, so to speak, and I'm able to get so much done. It's a huge help that I have an amazing team. So the team helps me tremendously, but they're looking at me for direction and guidance, right? Your staff is looking for you for direction and guidance. So you got to be clear on where you want to go before you can tell them where to go, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to make a list. And there are some people that say lists are bad, lists are, well, not for me. They might be for you, but I'm telling you, without a list, I wouldn't get anything done. I would just spin in circles. I'd be like a drain in a bathtub, just going round, around, around, around. And sometimes that happens, and I notice that it happens for me when I don't have a list. So the first thing I would recommend, in order for you to eat the frog, in other words, do the thing, get that one thing done every day that you know that you have been procrastinating about. Number 1, make a list. Make a list of all the things that you have to do. And usually when you're first starting, that list is long. It's long. I have about 150 things on my list. Some of them are big things that are going to take me days or weeks, like I'm creating something new, a new project or a new program, or I'm, writing a new set of email series, or I want to, do a rebrand, or I want to redo a website, or some of them are big. And I know I can't eat that frog in one day, but I still put it on my list. Then, once I have my list, I prioritize them two ways. Number one, I prioritize them on the amount of time they're going to take. So for me, I use a 1 to 10 because it works. 10 is going to take me more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are going to take me less time. So I prioritize them based on time, how much time they're going to take, and I don't put the time, but I just give it a 1 if it's only going to be 5 or 10 minutes or less. I might give it a 2 if it's 10 to 15 minutes. Like, in your mind, just kind of create what feels right to you. So prioritize them based on time. The second thing you want to do is then you want to prioritize them based on what I call the 80-20 rule, or how much return are you going to get for your investment of time, so to speak. Does that make sense? So we're going to, number one, we're going to write everything down. B, we're going to prioritize them. So prioritize them by time. And then I want you to prioritize them based on like how much return are you going to get? So for me, like, I need to maybe order something for outside in my yard. And then I've got all these other work related things that are going to take a little bit more brain power. Like, I got to really focus and think about it. They're going to take more brain power. So at the moment, I think, it's 6:00 p.m. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm going to go ahead and order that new whatever for the outside. That's like takes me 3 minutes to go find it, order it, and then I can be done. Check it off my list. But at 9:00 in the morning, that's not the stuff you ought to be doing. At 9:00 in the morning, when your brain is sharp, your energy is good, that's when you want to eat the frog. Now, what I recommend is, and this is, my dad taught me this, and it's also in the book, but tackle the hardest thing first. Tackle the thing that you don't want to do first. So for instance, if you have to let somebody go and you have to write a termination letter and you've just been putting it off, just do it. Think about the energy suck that happens when you defer. You're avoiding something like crazy. Think about the energy that takes from you. It's a lot. It takes a lot of energy. So think about that. If I could write that termination letter and I could say, okay, it's done. Now I just have to schedule the conversation and then let that person go. If that's what's on your plate, then you should absolutely get that done first, because then it frees up that you can go, okay, that's done. But what we do, I get it, is we lean towards the things that are stupid and easy, like ordering a new thing for the pool, or finding an outside thing, or, I'm supposed to go look for a book. I'll go look for the book. And pretty soon, before you know it, you had an hour time blocked out to do something, and you just went and frittered it away. So eat the frog. Do the one that's the hardest first. And then lastly, the last thing that I like to do, so I'll recap if you joined late. Number one, make a list. Number 2, prioritize it by time and basically, impact. So you use the 80-20 rule. So if it's going to have a huge impact, it goes to the top of the list. Like, it's going to drive revenue, or it's going to improve your team, or it's going to improve your patient relationships, or it's going to allow you to provide better clinical care. Those all are going to be at the top. But if it's buying a new pool toy or looking at recovering, buying new curtains or whatever, that's the bottom. That's not going to move the needle. That is not the 80-20. We're looking for the 20% of things that are going to make 80% of the impact. That's what we look for. So that's after you make your list, after you prioritize on time, then you're prioritizing on 80-20, what's your biggest impact, and then finally do your time blocking. And time blocking is where you're going to really make the difference. So time blocking means that you set aside, let's say, an hour. And if that means you get to work an hour early, then do it. That's what I do. I get up at 5:30, and it's so I've got time to exercise, and then I can get ready, and I've got about 45 minutes before I know that my team is coming on, and then the emails and communication is starting. So what I do is I get up early, so that allows me to have that time to get in and get stuff done. So you want a time block. So if it's an hour, then time block an hour to eat the frog. Don't time block an hour and fritter it away ordering stuff for the pool and new curtains. Like, that's dumb. Let's get an hour and let's get in and say, okay, what is my 80-20? What can I work on in an hour? Remember, we looked at it by time. Remember I said prioritize by time? So you're going to look at something and go, in your time scale, that might be a 4 or 5. That's what it is for me. About an hour is about a 4 or 5. So you look at your 4s and 5s and go, okay, I have an hour. What's a 4 and a 5 that's also going to have a big impact? It's going to have an 80% impact because I've got it on the 80-20 scale. Done. I'm going to pick that thing. I'm just going to power through it for an hour. I don't check my cell phone. I don't check my emails. And I'm definitely not on social media. And I literally put my head down and I just go hard for that hour. And when I'm done, I can check it off my list. Or if I don't finish it, it stays on the list. But now I know when I have another hour or 20, 30 minutes, I can get in and finish it. You will become so much more productive when you do this in every area of your life, whether it's business, which is what I'm talking about, but business, personal, relationship, whatever it is. It could be you want to take your kids out on a date night or your spouse, right? Anything, whatever it is, put it on the list. Things that you need to do or you know that need to become a part of your life or routine, done. Put them on the list. So I'm going to drop a link to a PDF of the book so you don't have to buy it. I just found it online for free, so I'm going to drop it in the comments. If you are watching on another platform like Instagram or YouTube, then you can DM me or message me and I will get that link to you, or you can just look for it. Eat That Frog. It comes up as a PDF, but I'll put the link in the Facebook group for all of you. So I hope that's helpful and it'll help you be able to start to see a lot more productivity. It is a muscle. Don't be hard on yourself. It's a muscle you have to work. But those were the things, the guidelines I just gave you, those were the things that made the biggest difference for me. And now I have a lot more tools that I use, like I use project management software. And so I've definitely gotten more sophisticated with it. However, those are the things that made the biggest difference. Write everything down. Everything you have to do, even if it's sew a button on a jacket, like everything that's like the things that hang around in your mind and you're like, oh, I need to do that. I need to clean that, or I need to call them. I need to check my car insurance. I need to review rates and coverage, which you should do every year, like liability insurance for your business. Those are annual tasks that you just need to do. But they just niggle around in your head. Just get it on paper. Then your head gets freed up. Write it down. Give it a number, 1 to 10, for the amount of time it's going to take. Or you might just assign it the amount of time. That's fine. However you want to do that. Then you're going to prioritize it on the 80-20 principle. Which one of those needs to be the highest priority because they're going to get you the biggest return on your dollar, or they're going to drive your revenue, or make you have a happier marriage, or give you better relationships with your kids. The 80-20 rule. And then lastly, block some time to get it done. But don't put off what you got to do because you're going to order a pool toy or deciding on curtains or flipping through a decorating magazine. I'm in the middle of a remodel, can you tell? That's what I'm thinking about. So that's how you do it. That's how I prioritize my time, and I'm able to get so much done. So I hope this is helpful for you. Have a super awesome week, my friends. And new podcast comes out tomorrow, which is super good. So make sure that you grab that. The Clinical Entrepreneur Podcast. It's on every podcast channel you can imagine. And otherwise, I'll see you inside the Facebook group, which is where I am the most active. All right, friends, take care. See you soon.